Hey, how's it going, guys? Ancient Rune here, back with another Borderlands 4 build video, and today I will be going over my Hammer Amon build called Ham Slamwich. This build is focused all around optimizing the damage of your Molten Slam Forge skill, enhanced by Molten Roil Capstone and Raging Inferno to get a triple dipping dot. We also use Onslaughter as filler while Molten Roil is on cooldown. You will see a lot of similarities with this build and my Onslaughter punching build. I do want to put a disclaimer that this is not 100% viable with everything in the game, and it's not because of my build being bad, but it's because the Forge skill not doing enough damage with healthy armor bars like Radix, because there's nothing like for Cryo or Corrosion, or just not being able to hit enemies like flying enemies or enemies with weird hitboxes. Even though it cannot clear all content, it is a lot of fun, so I wanted to make a build around it and share it with you guys. And the gear is similar to other action skill builds, so it's not useless to farm the items, as you can also use them elsewhere. You can also find a write-up of my build on Mobalytics, so if reading is more your style, you can also go there, which will be linked in the description. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more Borderlands 4 content, and consider becoming a member to support the channel and get videos early. You can also find a save file of this build in my Discord. Now let's get into it. So for the gear here, first we're going over the gun and the enhancement together because they play together. We have the Stellium here with as much dot damage as possible to use this with Transfuser. This is not needed. It's just kind of nice, and it's just something we got on a non-gun build. What Transfuser does is it will spread the stats effects to nearby targets on any kill, not just a gun kill. As long as it has a Malawon part or Malawon gun, it will spread it. All you have to do is have a status effect that matches the element of the gun you are holding when the enemy dies. That status effect does not have to get the kill, it just has to be active. But it will not take the damage of the status effect on the enemy. It'll take the status effect damage on the gun. So it's not the strongest thing ever. It's just kind of nice, and you can notice it sometimes kill enemies in mobbing. I have a shock and fire as I deal both shock and fire damage. You probably want to just focus on fire, but if you do get a shock dot on an enemy, then that will be a very strong dot to pass over. As you see, this is like 31,000. I've seen as low as 16,000, maybe a little less. So it's very easy to get. But if you want to use this for damage instead, then you can use Prime Potency for the 100% chance on the first shot, and you'll basically just shoot and reload constantly, and this is just nice in between damage. Now, again, both of these things are not needed on this build. This is just nice, as enhancements do almost nothing for your non-gun builds. But what this does have is going to be gun slash damage, as if you're holding a slash gun like we have with our Stellium, then it will count as all damage, which will triple dip from our Molten Roil to Raging Inferno, making this like really the only part you actually need. So if you want to shoot your gun, go the Prime Potency with the gun slash, or if you want to spread some dots with your action skill, then Transfuser with the gun slash damage. Now for some other gun stuff, you can use the Vial Launcher to get a triple dipping bonus, which is very good. I do not use it in any clips, but it can be used. And then these slots can be used for fight for your life damage if you want to. The Stellium is great for fight for your life as long as the enemy is not far away, because it has low projectile speed. So that's where these slots are free. Now for the rep kit, we are going the triple bypass. This is going to be to spam now with caffeine. Now this is a forge skill build, but we use our action skill in between, as we can't always have our forge skill active. So getting your action skill active as well is going to be very important, as it sticks to our melee action skill build vibe. I use the elemental affinity, as this will give a triple dipping bonus, and you could also use Enrage for the all damage, but if I compare the two, one gives a lot more healing with just 5% less damage, so I take the obvious choice. Then for the grenade, we are going Slippy, as it deals melee damage, so it will be proccing one of our important skills, Fist of Stone. So this is going to be super, super important, and I must have grenade and mobbing and bossing. Now, you could use a crit knife on here for the increased crit chance. This would be definitely optimum damage, but you are most likely not going to get the kill on one hammer slam. So we need Slippy when we are bossing for Fist of Stone procs in the boss fight. Then for the class mod, we are going the Furnace. This is the only class mod we're going to use. You could mess with some Forge Master and mobbing, but we really just want Furnace for the Raging Inferno points, as this allows for our triple dip, and this will also apply to our Onslaughter for this getting the double dipping dot to allow it just to work pretty well too. Now, if you don't know what Raging Inferno does, it is a double dipping dot proc from action skills. It does not get skill damage, unfortunately, but this status effect is going to be very strong. We could get 10 out of 5, it would be insane. And then for the passive, you could go skill crit chance or melee crit chance for consistency, or you could go elemental damage or damage dealt for max damage, as those will triple dip. And then for the shield with bossing, I go the protein cell, as it gives us a bonus element that will apply to our dot, as well as count as stored damage. Now, stored damage has to do with our forge skill, which I'll go more over later, and this is going to just help with our double dip, and then also apply to the pyre damage here too. So it's just applying to everything. And this is also going to be the same for What's for Dinner. Now this also counts as like a second hit for Fist of Stone, as it takes the like damage source of the damage you're dealing with the bonus element, making you able to spam your forward skill even more, which is insanely good. This goes for the Watts for Dinner and the Protean Cell. This also should work with stuff like Raging Inferno. Now, if you get the shock to crit, it's obviously going to be less damage, but it would be damage nonetheless. There's also a couple other things it could work with, but I'm not going to go up here. Now, there is the problem of Protean Cell going straight to your health, but if you have Overshield, which we do have on this build, then it will go to the Overshield first, which is important. Then going more over the Watts for Dinner shield, this is really nice for mobbing, for the storing damage while not having the problem of getting damage to your health, but it does not apply to our status effects, which is the main thing with the Protean Cell, but it gives a lot more survivability, and you can get this with Siphon Part, which I don't have, but is helpful. Then you could also go the Fireworks here. This will be like optimal mob clear, but it'll be like missiles doing damage instead of your action skill and forge skill doing damage, so it just depends on what you want to see there. As well as not having the bonus element here for the more Fist of Stone procs, which I really like. Then I have a Regulus if you want to go with Thermal Diffusion, which is on here for our Augment. I do not use it, but it can be good, but I'll go more over that in a little bit. Then for our firmware, we are going Action Fist and Real Big Fist, as these damage boosts will double dip, making them very nice. And then we go God Killer, which is additive with these bonuses, but it triple dips, making it even better. This is really just for bossing, so I have it on my bossing shield. But if I'm going mobbing, I like to swap these out and do a couple different things. And then we have some splash radius, and splash radius applies to the Molten Roil Slam, being very noticeable, meaning it can hit more enemies, which is very, very nice. So we get the splash radius here, and then the splash radius here. This ordnance damage will apply to the Slippy, and the Slippy will kill in mobbing, making this pretty nice as well. You don't have to do this, but it is nice. It is less damage though. And then you can have two real big fists or two action fists, or one in the other. It's 5% damage difference if you were to go two action fists instead of like this, or two real big fists. So it does not matter at all. Here we have our action skill. We are going Onslaughter for Molten Roil. This will slam down and get increased radius and store damage. This stored damage will then erupt in a pyre, counting as your damage dealt that was stored, meaning this will be a double dip of 40%. Then this is still action skill melee, so it will then proc Raging Inferno if it crits, meaning it will be a triple dip since this is also a double dip. Triple dip is basically just 2 double dips combined. Now with the actual action skill, this is still going to be nice for damage because you can punch with it, as well as the shield recharge being nice for survivability, especially in bossing because it keeps your protein cell full, which is really nice if you have a long boss fight. Now for the augment, I like to go Pyroclast for the action skill duration, which is really nice in mobbing. So there's mainly mobbing, but it also restores your shield and health, which is really nice when bossing, filling up your um, protein cell pretty quickly. Now you could also go Thermal Diffusion and mobbing, as this will be very good damage in what is focused on my punching Onslaughter build. This will be really good just in bossing in general, and especially in bosses that Molten Roil cannot hit, but Onslaughter can hit. You could also mess with Felfrost, as it will be 2 melee attacks for Fist of Stone and just do good damage in mobbing, but you won't have the action skill duration. This could be good in bossing if you aren't looking for Thermal Diffusion, just doing big hits, and really just want to focus on that Molten Roil hit. It literally just depends on what you want. Alright, and now for the skill tree. The main things we're going for our skill tree is first off getting Molten Roil and then Fist of Stone, as we want to cycle our Forge skill as fast as possible. So starting with the tree, we go What Burns Within. This incendiary damage triple dips, as our Slam here is going to be fire damage, and then the Pyre is going to be fire damage, and then Raging Inferno is going to be fire damage. So it gets bonus on all that. Then we go Discombobulate. This will be crit hit for the Slam and then the Pyre. So both of these have a chance to proc Raging Inferno, and if the original Slam that stores the damage crit hit is more damage stored to go to triple dipping. So it's very nice to have. Then I go Gut Punch. We only need one because we are using the Slippy, which counts as melee and ordnance, and we only need this bonus during bossing, so it's very, very likely that this is going to be active. Then we do a mix of Titanium Knuckles and the best defense, depending on if you want more damage or survivability. Both of these damage bonuses will double dip in Molten Roil with the Slam and the Pyre, but will not apply to Raging Inferno. Then the best defense will just be overshield based off of damage. Pretty easy to keep in mobbing, not as much as bossing. So if you need better bossing survivability for keeping your overshield up to protect your health, then I would get more points in the best defense. Then we do have Fortune still here for the immunity, which helps in bossing and not need overshield as much, but it is still nice to have if there's ever downtime between slams where you don't have your Fortune Steel active. This is really, really good though because it helps protect us when we have Protein still active and doing our slam. Then we go into the fray here for the damage dealt. This will triple dip, and we're going to be pretty close to the enemy when we're doing our slam anyways, so this is very easy to keep up. Then we have Harbinger, because this gives us melee damage. This is only going to be active in mobbing or bossing where there's a lot of mobbing around, like drill sites. So this isn't too big of a thing. The damage bonus will double dip in Molten Roil, but when it's not in bossing, not as good, but we take what we can get. And then over here we go Catastrophe, as this will give us crit chance and crit damage. This is skill crit damage, so it will apply based off a crit chance. Now we don't have a lot of shock that's going on, really only electrical fire, or if you are shooting your stellium, which will apply a shock dot if you use the shock version. So we usually have only one stack or just at least one stack here, but we'll have plenty of crit damage stacks, which is really nice because this can double and then potentially triple dip. And then we have Fist of Stone, our big thing going here, and a key skill. This is going to give us Forge skill cooldown when dealing melee damage and double with attacks. I also already went over the bonus element, doubling the procs with our shield, which makes it really nice. So this 5% can be 10%, and then the melee attacks doubling means that 10% will be 20% on punch. Then we go electrical fire. We won't have this too active on our molten slam, on our Molten Roil Pyre, triple dip with Raging Inferno, as we are likely to crit with our base slam, proccing Raging Inferno, which will then proc Electrical Fire, which will then mean it's going to be on cooldown, but it's still good nonetheless, and it's just a one pointer that's literally just right here since we're getting Fist of Stone anyways. And then we aren't going Berserk here because this doesn't count as a good bonus element. This is its own skill damage. This will not store into Molten Roil. This will apply to the slam and the melee pyre though, so it can be good, but when you're focusing on bossing, you just want to put as many points that will help in bossing, which is why we're going skill boost that will double in triple dip. If this was ever changed to where it did apply to storm damage, then we would definitely go down this tree. But we are instead going green tree, where we get Executioner. This crit damage is skill crit damage, and it's easy to double, meaning it's a very easy bonus to keep up. And then we go Destruction Engine for the Forge skill damage, which will double dip. Now, if you are using this mainly in mobbing or bossing where there's a lot of mobs around, then getting Gathering Storm instead of Destruction Engine will be a lot better, as its elemental damage will triple dip, and a triple dip boost will be better than a double dip boost. Then for the specialization, we are going now with Caffeine to keep our action skill up as much as possible, since we are using Onslaughter as filler. Then we want a Honed Mind for the action skill crit chance, and it's technically skill crit chance because it lies here. It's not action skill, it's skill here. So this will apply to a lot of stuff and mean more Raging Inferno consistency. We do have I Am a Gun here just because there's nothing else here that helps us. You could maybe go Compounding Afflictions, but the odds of having this many specialization points is unlikely. Only gun damage I have on this build right now is Brute, but the likelihood of you having Brute with enough specialization points is unlikely, so you literally kind of just have 3 points here. You could potentially go Groundbreaker here if you wanted to. You wouldn't get too much out of it, but you'd get a little bit when you are punching, which can be nice in mobbing. But then we have the best defense here, which is a damage boost that will triple dip. All right, for mobbing, it is pretty simple here. We're just going to be spamming a lot of attacks. So it would be like throwing our fish, we'll be slamming down, and then you could also start throwing fish before then, which will then get our forward skill back again. Then we slam down, and then we also activate our action skill, and we start punching with that as well. And we have that back, and then we are slamming here, and we're just getting so much slam spam. Now there is the problem of fish slap killing enemies before you can get like all these products, so you won't see this much spam in mobbing, but in bossing you will definitely see this much spam of your forward skill. And then I can use my rep kit to get my action skill back, and then go at it again with this and get punching as well, which is very nice. Now for bossing, it's a little bit different here. We're not going to spam our fish slap. We're also going to use a rep kit beforehand, and we're going to be slamming for our protein cell, which I'm going to switch over to now, and this gear here. All right, so here we'll activate our rep kit for our bonus, then we'll slam, activate our action skill, throw one Slippy for the debuff, then we will slam, and then we'll throw another Slippy here for getting our forward skill back, and then we will slam, and then we can also punch if our Slippy's on cooldown, and then keep slamming just like this. Then here we can activate the rest of our rep kits to get back our forward skill while still throwing out more Slippies to then slam again, and you will see that our shield, if you can see, our shield is still going to be at full capacity, which is very, very nice. If you learned something new, then make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more Borderlands 4 content. And consider becoming a member to support the channel and get videos early. You can also find the save file for this build in my Discord. Don't forget to check out the Mobalytics build write-up in the description, as it always has the most up-to-date version of the build. This could be minor tweaks or huge reworks. Even though this build is not viable on everything, it is so much fun to use Hammer on content it does work with. With more skill points and hopefully some buffs, we will see Hammer be improved a lot. Unfortunately, you cannot do much for enemies that hammer cannot hit, though. Just bad game design on Gearbox's part. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.